This is the second iteration of the Hecarim tier list. For starters, not everything written on the tier list post on the website, Reign of Gaming, will be explained here. This is more used to go a little bit in more depth of what I meant over there, or to get you guys to think about something I didn't talk about in the tier list, or about no actual change to the tier list. It will make more sense with the first thing I talk about. Skarner, his placement in the God tier has been disputed so many times. Why is he still God tier? This and this, or what? Okay. It gets kind of annoying. People say he's got mana problems. Yeah, he's got to use a bit more mana than before. Philosopher's Stone and not mindless spamming of your skills pretty much deals with that. Stop using your W so randomly. He's fast, he can deal with a lot of jungle pressure, and he kills a lot of junglers. And he's a great ganker at level 6. He's got versatility, he's got all that great stuff. Stuff you want right now. The thing is, people are considering him weak because they don't see players use him as much anymore in tournaments or whatever. He's being used on the other side of the world, Korea. They like their Skarner. They like the little scorpion. You can't get so stuck up on what you see in the tournaments because, remember, so people would say, Shyvana's a garbage champion. Like, nobody uses her. No, you don't see tournament players use her. Then M5 comes out, and oh my gosh, she's suddenly overpowered, broken shit, nerf her now. Even Riot ended up nerfing her. It's like, you can't, just because something is underplayed doesn't necessarily mean they're bad. Victor, for starters, is another champion, not as jungler, but as an AP carry. His burst and damage is incredibly high, and I'm surprised nobody actually, has realized this. That he is probably broken. He's probably, the IP cost is too much, and he's really difficult to play. But it's just this. Just because something is underplayed doesn't mean they're underpowered. And just because something isn't favored now means they need to be buffed or changed, or there's a problem with the character. Now, it's just, he may not be popular here in the NA, but he's popular somewhere else. So what you do, that's not how this tier list ends up working anyways. Here in this tier list, you take stuff that you can actually measure, you can actually observe, you can test, you can reproduce, all that stuff. And then think about, these are his strengths. And it turns out he's really strong at all this. If the meta were to shift in his favor, then he'd probably be a better jungle pick. But as it turns out, it's not his time right now. But doesn't mean his jungle prowess has diminished at all. Talking about the other side of the world, continuing on with that, they like to use Gragas as a support tank. And I got to witness just one game of that. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. He's not doing any damage or anything, but his ultimate is incredibly godly. And they're using him to pack up their auras and stuff. So I figured I'd test him out like that for a couple games. And if I didn't miss so many ults, I'm pretty sure we would have won. But otherwise than that, I'm like, I can see his speed pick up with this build. I don't have to worry about, having a lack of gold, because I know what my purpose is going to be. I kept underrating him because I would build him Bruiser and need to get more gold for the damage, for the tankiness, for all that stuff. Yeah, I want him to deal damage. Then I build him AP, and I lacked damage to do any serious damage if I was in the lane. So I couldn't say that many good things about Jungle Gragas. But now that if I put him more into the iteration of support, and his transition was a lot better, a lot smoother. It didn't feel as much of a burden having him in the jungle, and this made sense for him. His ultimate is really powerful. His Q can work as an anti-carry thing, sever their attack speed, and he's hard to kill because you can't catch him, and he's got W to keep him up. So it could seem useful, and they seem to like it, and mostly as a counter pick. They seem to like it, so I feel it's a lot better to build him this way if you're going to jungle with him. It's a lot less risky of falling apart. And by support I mean Shirelias, Randuins, combining cooldown reduction items that also benefit your team, because you want to use that ult and your abilities as much as possible while being hard to catch and still providing utility for your team. So it's a bit of the return of that utility Gragas that existed before, Locket Gragas, fat spam, and healing your team. Whatever the case, Gragas has gone up, and I feel so. I hope some people give it a try so they can give me their input on it. Volibear is just that champ that you feel like he could do more, but when you actually play him, it's just, man, I could never feel, I haven't played a champion that's made me feel a bit more useless later in the game than Volibear. I know there's some people who really like Volibear, but his spells just don't do much later on. Sure, his bite deals a lot of damage, but the cooldown on it is staggering, and the attack speed is moot if you can't actually scratch people. His ultimate, again, if you can't be close enough to scratch somebody, it's not going to do much, and especially if you didn't build any damage on Volibear. And his E is pretty meh. His Q is the good part. It's a cinch fling that's spammable and gives him a small speed boost. It's really strong early, and especially if you lower the cooldown on it through items or ranking it up. And it definitely works out in his favor with ganking. That thing is pretty damn good for ganking. Other than that, it's pretty much unremarkable. He's pretty slow, and he'll slow down in the jungle unless you build into him, which tends not to work out as well as building him support tank or just full-on tank to disrupt people by tossing them around. So it's like, he's pretty average. Like average. And not spectacular. He's got okay early game for a jungler, but there's other people that do it better, and then he just kind of falls off the radar. So if anything, he probably needs, just more scaling on his damage or speed. I don't know. I have no idea how to buff this guy. Melee. Speaking of average, Hecarim is pretty much flatline average. His ganking is great, it looks cool and it's fun, but his damage is abysmal. His ultimate is amazing as an initiation, the gap closer, all that stuff. It helps in ganks a lot. But again, his damage, he pretty much can't finish people off. It's pretty damn pitiful. His speed is average. His survivability is okay. It's pretty good, but that thing is not that great of a cooldown or that early. And he can't go for early level ganks because that hurts him a lot. I mean, he can level 2 ganks. No. Level 3 gank, hopefully it does some good, or not, you kind of just wasted your time. And then later on he can't actually gank without much repercussions. His sustain is great. His sustain in mana, sustain in health, I already said it was good. Sustain in mana, his spells don't cost anything, so you can spam all he wants. He doesn't need regrowth. He can just go Heart of Gold right off the bat. And he has versatility in paths and all that stuff, but it's not overtly. It's like he will suffer if he doesn't get that leash, or if he gets slapped before he actually jungles or harassed. He's pretty much average. Like if anything, he could use a buff, maybe 75% on minions instead of 50 from his Q. And this could be an actual chance for Riot to make a hybrid champion. Imagine them putting an AP ratio on his Q. That would be great. His AP ratios on the other spells aren't that bad. This is a good chance to be pretty interesting. I'm just saying, Hecarim is average. I'm not saying he's bad at all. He's pretty cool to use. I have a lot of fun with him. It's just he needs a little bit more damage. Okay, so Shen and Warwick will be talked about at the same time. Since pathing, versatility, and survivability and sustainability are worth a lot more than they used to, both of them are going to see a rise. Sure, they're slower than a lot of other junglers, and they've got glaring weaknesses in some areas. They can overcome that by being incredibly versatile. So, for starters, Warwick is ahead of Shen, because Warwick is slightly faster, well, considerably faster to Shen, even though he's slower than other junglers. And his level 6 ganking is brutal it's more direct and just you're dead. While Shen's has to be more preemptive. You have to plan it out. Warwick's just jump in, maul somebody, and your teammate can finish it off very easily. So there's Warwick's advantage. He's a lot quote unquote cleaner when he's doing that stuff. So Warwick's got incredible sustain. We all knew that. He's got pathing freedom, and he's got versatility. He can do whatever pretty much he wants and come out fine. So there's that. And Shen's the same way, except Shen is incredibly slow. It's really slow. That's a huge glaring weakness. We all know that. Though again, he can make up for it by having the infinite jungle power thing, where once you get his ult, he's pressuring all lanes and he can jungle indefinitely without leaving the jungle. And the second something happens, he can teleport right there. He can be jungling at top lane, he can be holding top lane for his teammate, whatever. He'll appear anywhere. There's a dragon fight. If dragon fight happening, go home and heal myself. Teleport right into the fight, full with items, with whatever I need. That kind of stuff. He's got that global pressure, and that makes up for him being incredibly slow. That, and he's incredibly versatile. Oh, they're screwing around in my jungle. I'll just go over here and not give a damn. There's that. Oh, I don't need blue. I don't need red. I don't need any buff. I can just donate it all. I can be versatile. I can, work that out, and I can still gank people, and I can still hold my own in a 1v1 fight. Of course, I likely will never finish the person, and I probably don't want to stick around for the full fight. But I'll make it so they don't want to stick around for my teammates to show up. Stuff like that. Shen and Warwick have that. They're very defensive duelists. They don't really assault the other jungler. They more just defend themselves and pretty much waste the enemy's time. And again, sustain pathing and versatility make up for their slower speed. And Shen gains his infinite jungling, and Warwick gains one of the strongest ganking tools in the game. So they went up, and it made sense. So, Twitch. Okay, so a lot of people say that Twitch is underrated. I don't think he's underrated. I think he's pretty overrated. In fact, I think he's both of them. It's like this. He's an incredibly strong ganker, and he can kill junglers if he catches them by surprise. That's a given. He's got stealth, though. In jungle duels, most other junglers, if they catch another jungler by surprise, they'd probably be able to kill him anyway, so that's kind of a moot point. We'll just talk about Twitch's ganking. It's incredibly strong. He can position himself thanks to stealth. He can deal a lot of damage really quickly and kill people. Yeah, he's got that strength, and he can do it early. He can do it constantly. Oh, that's all great. Then look at everything else about Twitch. He's slow. He's got no sustain. He's freaking fragile. He'll get killed by other junglers, and he's gonna get his jungle dominated. All he's got is his ganking. And then therein comes the issue. If you prevent his ganking, much like Shaco, or if you harass him so badly he can't actually farm up anything in the jungle and be safe enough to gank, then he's going to fall apart incredibly easily. That's why he can't really go up that high on the tier list. He's an incredible ganker. He's got that. I will admit that. Everybody should know that. He's a brutal goddamn ganker. He'll murder anybody. But his other weaknesses are very prevalent. They're very obvious. And if you say his ganking may be strong, take that away from him. He's got nothing else. So there. And now, speaking of overrated, Shyvana is really good, I'm not going to lie. But she's more of a meta jungler, with quotations on that around there, than an actually strong jungler. She fits the meta, where it's pathing, speed, versatility, and all that good stuff, and making skirmish happen, and thievery. She fits that, but if it were to shift, she'd probably not survive that. I mean, she really didn't survive she didn't really exist in the previous meta, so it's just she fits at the time right now. It's just like Mundo, except Mundo's got a lot of more redeeming qualities than Shyvana does. So Shyvana pretty much being replaced by Dr. Mundo, and she's pretty team reliant. She can't gank unless somebody else pins the person down. You can say, exhaust, but we're not counting exhaust here. That's an amplifier. If you give that to another jungler who can already gank really well, then they'll gank even better. So when you compare the two, she's still going to be bad. Her dueling, this is something I overrated. She gets kited, and then she gets blown up. She's all melee, and she's all melee. And she's using her spells to clear anyway, so if she gets jumped, there's a good chance she won't be able to fight back before she's already been beaten to a pulp. There is a reason why some people complain that she can't carry games. I mean, she becomes a menace later on in the game. Well, that's because she was allowed to have a game before that. Like her early game, she's fast, respectable, and all that stuff. Certain junglers are gonna make food out of her, and like Lee Sin, Olaf, and stuff. They'll wreck her. Anyone with a slow will wreck her. Mundo will make a joke out of her, but if her teammates help her, then she'll be able to bypass any of that. She's a good skirmisher. She's easily kited, even with dragon form. I'm just trying to get the point. She's not bad. She fits the quote-unquote meta at this time. And She's got other redeeming qualities such as speed and no mana, but it's coming to the point where I might consider other junglers such as Riven or Nautilus better than her because they've got lots and load of stuff to offer than she does. She's just appropriate for the time. And then there is the manliest champion in the game, Jarvan. Man, he's one of my favorite characters in the game and junglers. And I've been using him more out of pressure, out of my teammates. I mean, back in season 1 when I solo queued, I pretty much just played Jarvan because I felt I can do anything to make up for my bad teammates. So that's what I did. Tank Jarvan, support Jarvan, whatever. I did that from the jungle or from the lane. He's got incredible amounts of versatility, build wise, path wise, all that stuff. Plus high damage. He can resist a lot of junglers, and he can counter even some of the popular ones like Dr. Mundo. He can gank anyone. There is no one he can't gank. He can pressure them to use up their summoner spells and still gank them. Vladimir, walk up to Vladimir. Use your Q, your W to slow him, or if you can't, your E and Q, force out his little bubble thing. Then jump him when it comes out. There's his flash too. There, he just lost everything. You forced out the escapes from even characters who normally wouldn't have to use them. So there's that. Or hell, he can gank anybody, and he can do some crazy tricks with them too. Going over a wall and jumping on somebody, all that stuff. He's got so much versatility. He can make a lot of things happen, and it's that versatility allows you to alter this one character into filling so many spots for you. And even during game, it's just this gives him such an advantage over a lot of other junglers and a lot of other characters, and it even fits the meta, quote unquote, again at this time. So this, the manliest of men. It's just a lot better than people are giving him credit for, and I feel I'll throw him up in there in tier 1 now, high up there.